Right. Okay, my name's Jas. I am going to talk to you about a subject that's pretty dry, but I'm going to try to keep it lively for you. EngTech registration. Now, how many of you in the room have heard of it before? Brilliant. Well, that's a good start. Okay, so that helps us out quite a bit for later on. Now, I want to ask you a question. I want you to really think about this. What would you like to get out of today? Okay, now these opportunities don't come up too often, where you manage to get quite a few people in one room, usually down to resource, we're not available, and down to managers and bosses saying we don't have the time to do it. So actually what I'd like to know is, what would you like to get out of today, and what is it that you need from us in order to help you through this process? Any volunteers? I will pass the mic around. We'll practice passing the mic around. What would you like to get out today? When you was coming on the train down last night or this morning, what did you think about?
To gain, obviously to gain the nationally recognised qualification, because, as you say, a lot of the areas in the industry are overlooked, but also to find out what sort of support he'll provide in the workplace with obviously restricted budgets and cut staff all the time. You find that it's needs must, and there might be a way to pursue a qualification like this, but that will be an ideal if time allows. So what sort of follow-up, what sort of support, how can you impress upon senior managers to allow staff to pursue this?
Can you say who you are as well?
I'm Matthew Ansell, Principal Technical Officer for Network Rail Tunbridge.
Tunbridge, down in my neck of the woods. Okay, brilliant. So I'm going to address some of those now, and then Jill's going to help me address some of those afterwards. She's jotting them down quickly. Anyone else got anything? Don't worry about if you think the question sounds stupid or the statement. There's no such thing as a stupid question. EngTech is pretty new. This project is new. You guys are relatively new to it as well. So anything that can help you, we're here to give you that support today. So anything else?
I've got a question, yeah.
Name?
My name's Alan Leamy, STO for Network Rail in Warrington Banquet. What I was interested in was the time frame in all this, and from talking from today to that moment in time when it's complete, what time scale would we be looking at?
So when you get those letters after your name?
Yeah.
A lot of that's dependent, I can answer a bit of that now. A lot of that's dependent on the individual. The skills that you've already acquired in your job, those that you can give as evidence, and those skills that you might need to now gain when you see what the gaps are. And we'll do a bit of that today. I mean, just looking around the room, I'm guessing that everyone's at a relatively different stage in their careers, so it's going to be a slightly different response for each of you. Registration of any professional type, whether it's in engineering, accountancy, HR, whatever field it is dependent on you. Only you can really do it. So we'll give you an idea of timeframes and what happens in the back office side to help you with that. And Jill, again, will run through some of that with you. Any other bits? This is really taking up my 10-minute slot. It's great.
Gary Kilroy, Senior Technical Officer with Network Rail in Liverpool. What I'd like to know is the actual practical steps of how we gain the EngTech qualification, what we need to do, if it's studying, if it's proving work we've already done and so forth, and how we actually gain it from today, what we need to do from here when we go back to our workplace to gain the qualification.
Perfect, and we'll run through all of those actually, and we'll do a bit of an exercise later. Nothing too scary, but really just to show you how straightforward it is for all of you actually.
I'm Owen Forrest, I'm the Union Learning Rep that's here today. It's just so that people are aware, I know these guys will be aware a bit of everybody else, that the structure of what they're talking about, because they're mentioning Principal Technical Officer, Senior Technical Officer and Technical Officer. Those are slightly, in terms of railway terms, those are slightly higher than what a technician would be. They're expected to be more academically qualified, more technically qualified. So I think these guys would be looking to get a sort of different level of EngTech qualification.
Okay, we can talk about some of that. I'll be very honest with you. For every company that we work with, and I'll give you a little bit of background on my project, it's very different in terms of job roles. When someone says to us, who's a technician? You're like, what's your industry sector? And most of the time, you don't even have technician in your job title. So we can give you some guidance of what we think a technician is, and your employer would actually be able to identify those guys in that job grade or that job profile would be a technician. So we have to kind of work with the employers to understand that. We've got some idea, but we work across all sectors as well. So hopefully we can help you all with a bit of that today. Anything else? Okay, if you think of anything, then just, I won't say shout because you'll be interrupting me, but otherwise let me know what it is. So the 3 PEI project, and the only reason why Liz hesitated is I have a really complicated job profile. I'm working on behalf of a number of institutions who all compete for your membership. It's the first time it's ever been done. It's challenging and political, but it demonstrates to industry that the institutions really want to make this work for all of you in this room. Okay, so the 3 institutions that I work on behalf of are the ICE, so the Institution of Civil Engineers, the IET, the Institution of Engineering and Technology, and the IMechE, Institution of Mechanical Engineers. They typically, and there's a few others as well that would work within your area. So there's one called the IRSE, so that's kind of signalling rail operators. There's a few others. Whichever institution, so to become registered, you become a member of an institution, okay? To become a member, it's down to you to decide which institution best meets your needs. Okay, some of those might be decided with the support of your line managers. They might say, actually, if you're doing this job role, this is the preferred institution for you. Or it could just be, actually, I do this job role, but one day I want to do this. So for me, as a person, I would prefer to be a member of that institution.
Just out of curiosity, why can you only sign up to one institution? Why can you not sign up to more than one? And get support? You can.
You can. You can become members of as many as you like, actually. I'm not sure you're going to want to pay for all of that. So it's down to yourself, really. Yeah, I mean, I'm a member of about 3. I just keep paying by direct debit and forgetting about it, if I'm honest. So it's one of those things. So this project has been set up a year ago, similar to Richard, actually. It's funded by someone called Gatsby Foundation, which probably means nothing to any of you. It's a charity which has substantial amounts of money. It's owned by Lord Sainsbury, who some of you might be aware of. He is linked to the Sainsbury's, as in the shopping market down the road. But he does a huge amount to invest in technicians and skills and what we call STEM, so our science, technology, engineering and maths subjects. So a lot of investment privately, but also by government. So this project here was announced by the Prime Minister last June. I joined the project. I've come from construction, so I know a little bit about rail, but not as much as you guys, obviously. This project was set up. I've been running it. I've got a small team. We need to work with employers to drive EngTech through their organisation. This project will see 30 major employers engaged over the next 3 years to make this happen. One of those employers is Network Rail. Another one of those employers is Crossrail, and another one is HS2. So we recognise that there's a huge amount of investment in rail infrastructure. There aren't enough people coming into the jobs that you guys do, and we need to start making it more attractive. We need to make those career paths more visible. All those questions that you guys raised earlier, we need to make those answerable in literally a sentence. It's very complex, it always has been. Institutions were set up to really work with those who are chartered. I mean, we've all heard the word chartered, but none of us have really heard the word EngTech. Our aim over the next 3 to 5 years is to raise that profile of EngTech to be the number one choice for all technicians and to recognise technicians professionally in the industry. So more people coming from school, coming from college, when they're making that choice, do I go to uni, do I do an apprenticeship, do I do A-levels, what do I do? They will see this as a professional route regardless of academic qualifications or knowledge. So you guys are almost the first You're the first to be hearing this direct from us. We've kept it low key. We've been working with your CEOs, been working with directors of businesses to start driving it through. Now we're starting to get out to people to make it happen. And this is one of the first workshops that we're doing joint with Union Learn and the TSSA. But it's going to be one of many. So we're working with other employers like BAE Systems, where we're going to be working with trade unions and Union Learn to do similar stuff. I think that's it. Has anyone got any questions for me?
If someone
Keep remembering this.
someone obviously goes through and obtains EngTech accreditation, do you think that will then lead on to further higher education learning? Sometimes it's very hard in the industry to get put forward for HNCs or so on and so forth. Do you believe that one will lead to the other? Or?
If you want it, it should happen. Again, it's dependent on employers, but if employers are engaged in the Network Rail is a difficult one, really. History, politics, changes of leadership, highly complex organisation. But there's a commitment there to recognise people professionally, and there's a commitment to drive talent initiatives through it. I don't see why it wouldn't be possible. I think it's down to you to go knocking on the doors of your line managers and directors and the rest of it, whoever you have access to.
Can I come in as well? I think we'll probably get to the toolkits in a bit, and maybe have a chance to look at them in a bit more detail and the arguments in there. But this is, if any of you are union learning reps, this is where the learning bargaining agenda comes in. Some of the pilots that I mentioned, there has been negotiated support for covering the fees for membership and registration of a professional body as part of that agenda. So it's about looking at kind of how you start with that. I think maybe looking at learning agreements. So it's not just about relationship with manager is one thing, but it's also a relationship with your employer, and then looking to see how you can, with the employer, support people to advance further. So as I say, HNC and others. Obviously that's a challenging agenda. It ain't going to happen overnight. But that's the kind of thing that we think trade unions can add and clearly would be of benefit. If an employer wants to see an increase in people getting EngTech and above that, they clearly need to look at all the angles, and we've certainly covered some of them.